So, Brian Wang, I had a friend growing up, and his dad made the claim that the very first time he bowled a 220.
Hmm.
And for those of you who don't bowl and don't know how good that is, I bowled in league for years and years and years and never, ever, ever bowled a 220. Now, I'm a terrible bowler. But having said that, that was an amazing score. So what he did was he was an athlete. He did lots of other sports. He decided that he would quit. He would never bowl again.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
so I'm thinking about our score over
Yeah.
the last 8 days, 9 days,
Right.
10 days.
Right. Right.
I think right now we're bowling about a 220 or
Mhm.
maybe even higher.
Yeah.
Should we quit now and not give any more predictions ever?
Uh, I don't cut out myself off. I go on the run. I go for the trifecta or something.
All right. Okay.
The parlay.
So we're sitting here at 444, 443.
Mhm.
It turns out that maybe the even the technical level wasn't really 440. It was kind of in that range.
Yeah.
As people have, as I've watched other technical analysts talk about it. So we're sitting here basically at this point waiting for Thursday's numbers. Although, what would you expect tomorrow? Would you expect it could go either way? There could be people that would pull out, figuring they've got their gains, or there could be people that would be FOMOing in because they think it's really going to be a huge beat.
Um, One, because you're so close, you can get a leak number, and then someone could move the market because they have insider information,
Ah,
right?
yes.
So that's always a possibility, although people talk about, pure trading. I think it happens. So so that's one part of it. The other part would be that a lot of macro stuff is happening, the government shutdown, all this kind of stuff. So the macro could also decide to
Mhm.
do that. Like if the whole index took a drop or a move,
Right.
then that would also affect things. So
Oh, and Tesla was definitely following the market today.
right,
It went wherever the market went all day long. Yeah.
right, right, right. So but we are heading into several major Tesla only things, which is the volume number and on October 2nd, and then also FSD rolling out sometime this week. So there's many Tesla specific things as well as the overlay of the noise of whatever is going on in the market. So I would say I'm leaning towards it could move up tomorrow. So if I was to, and it can also do both. It can be up in the morning and then down in the afternoon.
That's true, 100%.
So,
Or vice
so,
versa.
or
Yeah.
vice versa. Right. So,
But the net, and maybe we should talk about the net because most people, okay, for those of you who trade every day or like to try to get in on these kind of trades, you're the ones we've been talking to. But for the most of us, we're looking way beyond that trade.
right.
And that would be, say, on Thursday after the numbers come out, Friday. By then, we've got FSD. Could the combination of a 500,000 plus a 13 gigawatt hours and FSD actually starting to roll out, could that give us a huge pop
Yes, I think a huge pop is possible. I think there's shooting up to 500, 500,
this week?
520.
This week?
Yes, it is possible this week. If the really big number happens, right?
Yeah.
520, 15
Oh,
gigawatt hours, like it's it's perfect, right? Perfection or near perfection is something that could drive it up there. The other thing is that there's a bunch of options, I think, around
yeah. Mhm.
500.
Right.
So having a move gets amplified, into a 500, to the 500 level. Um, it may not then hold because then you
Mhm.
have a sell. But also, you'd have like if you did pop up, then you like oftentimes you trade back down to like the 480 or something level to
Mhm.
retest your breakout and all this kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Um, but I think those would be hugely positive things leading into a hugely positive month, leading into October 22nd. The
Right.
Q3 meeting would be good, and then expecting November 6th to be good. So we have a lot of really good news loaded up
Mhm.
for um, this month. And
Uh,
yeah.
some of the technical analysts are pointing to a 467 as some kind of, I don't know whether it's a moving average or some other thing. Have you been noticing people talking about that number as well?
In terms of the number of cars produced?
No, 467 as the stock price
Oh yeah, yeah. So even though technically we hit 488, the technical people like to draw lines and
yeah.
say it was, 467 for the day, or like, so they're kind of saying that was the high, because I think the 48 happened so shortly, it was like up and then down. It's kind of like doesn't count or something. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
you actually, if I'd have to go back and look at it for sure, but the 488 was intraday.
Yeah,
The actual day end of the day was 480, and then of course the downward slope continued dramatically. So the whole
right,
thing was a little tiny peak. So
right,
that might be what they're getting at. I'm not sure. Yeah.
right, right. But basically beyond 445 here is all-time high-ish.
Right.
So, and then getting beyond that, you know, if you're in new territory, and then you got a Fibonacci and a bunch of other, if you're still using technical at that point. But it's to your discussion about, there is a lot of good fundamental news that we're looking at.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Fibonacci, we've got Zacks here. It says, since its inception, Tesla has increased by mind-blowing 34,000% since it was first came out. That said, the long-term charts indicate that Tesla stock performance comes in bunches. We know this. However, over the next 2 years, Tesla shares, oh, I'm sorry, let's go back down here. Should the breakout succeed, the Fibonacci, that's getting over over this current level, Fibonacci's got it at approximately 600.
Right.
So that's kind of still below your and my number, but 600 would be the next technical level that the folks who follow Fibonacci would be talking about.
Right. Right. So it's wonderful to make all-time highs and to break through it. So then you can really start running.
Now we get to
But then it's good to have real good news, fundamental news to sustain and to stay up there longer term.
right. And if I think about this going forward, because I'm figuring the 600 is probably a November number, maybe November 6th, maybe November 10th, something like that, after the second meeting. If we hit that 600 number later on, that would be 2 trillion. Almost exactly, by the way. I asked Grok. It's like 650 cents or something. If we hit 2 trillion, I think that becomes another round number in a way. I can remember Apple when it was getting to 1 trillion, it really had a hard time penetrating. That's also Dan Ives' number. And he's the highest of any of the analysts right now. There's a couple of other ones that are now 575 and whatnot, but Dan's at the top. So I have a feeling that that will be a pretty significant resistance area. And that's where I start, coming in with and I think we agree, you really have to have a significant robotaxi presence in order to make it jump to the next levels.
Or you get Model Y Compact,
Right.
YS coming out.
Selling well.
Yeah, having a big fast launch, and then giving you some um, net income revenue growth where people can just see, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. Also with more car sales because FSD is working, kind of thing. So it doesn't have to be robotaxi per se. So there's a bunch of different ways to a few different things that can happen that would give a sustainable move over 600, and also give us clear visibility on significant revenue and income growth that would get back to growing strongly again. And also at those two meetings, if we get some real guidance,
Yeah.
saying, hey, this will happen, here's how we want you to think about it, right? That would be huge, where they could actually say, we see it so clearly that we're finally willing to say things about what's going to happen again. Because that's been years since they've had that.
Right, right. Yeah, I've been thinking an awful lot about, okay. I've been thinking a lot about Optimus. And when all of us were really into trying to figure it all out a year ago, we were thinking it was going to end up with, I forget, 34 actuators or something. And now I think maybe it was even less than that. Now we're talking about over 50 at least. And these actuators are going to be really small. And I saw a post a little while ago. I think it was from Tesla. No, it wasn't Tesla Chan. I forget who it was. But anyway, it was a post suggesting that Tesla has gotten their cost of raw materials on their cost of goods down to under 20 grand. Okay, so maybe that's true. I have no idea where they're getting that information, especially when I think most of the actuators are going to be built in-house. So I'm not sure how they would ever get to that number. But even if they did that, I'm starting to think about it as a manufacturer. How do you build this bot that's going to have all these little actuators and all of the circuitry that's going to go with that, and all of the tendons, if you will, the other moving parts that are going to be associated with the actuators? I mean, it sounds to me like there's going to be some very delicate work that's going to be done. And initially, probably a lot of it's going to be done by humans. Eventually, yeah, the bots will do the bots. But I'm starting to think there's going to be a lot of handwork in this bot initially.
Um, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that was why they did all the work in order to, do design. Like I think part of the redesign and work is to make it manufacturable,
Okay.
to do it in lines and that kind of thing. Because you have, some of the best engineers, designers for that. So, they would come up with ways and make machines to do the work, and then like the octavalve kind of a solution to the HVAC, that they would come up with solutions that would make it easier for them to do.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad I asked you. All right. So then let's go back to the numbers again in terms of the what's going to happen on Thursday and after Thursday. General Motors and Ford today announced that they're going to continue with their $7,500 discount after Thursday. That tells me that they don't think they're getting a lot of orders from people right now through tonight. They're not getting enough orders in order to give them a lot of production in the fourth quarter. We haven't heard anything from Tesla in that regard, one way or the other, although they've been pushing the idea of placing your orders today. Do you think Tesla will dramatically drop their prices on basically the Model Y and the Model 3 if their orders start to slow down? Do you think we could be looking at, something like Ford and General Motors just said they could be maybe even drop at $7,500?
Unlike Ford and General Motors, who are losing money on every electric vehicle they sell, Tesla doing that would really hurt its margins and would not be received well by the market. So Tesla's in a different position that way. So Tesla has to have car sales without wrecking profitability and margin. So that goes to the stripped down Model Y or the compact Model Y. That they say, okay, we need to have those sales. I'm thinking though that the base versions of them are, I looked at numbers on it, but my thinking is not more than 30% of the vehicles. So it matters, but for those, the price sensitive part of it, they have, what they supposedly been working on is a lower price vehicle in order to come down a few thousand, $4,000, $5,000 in order to get that number in there. And then they can also do stuff like some supercharging, some other levers that are not as harmful to them cash position and otherwise. Because say, hey, yeah, here, have $1,000 worth of free charging. It's something that is of value to the buyer, but is not as costly to Tesla.
In fact, they've kind of given us a possible template in the Model X's and Y's. If they think there's going to be a significant drop off, they could start putting together a package that includes FSD. So they wouldn't really reduce the price of FSD. They would just give a package. If you buy this Model 3 or this Model Y, you get it for this price, which would be a very good deal because it's including FSD. That they've done that before. That might be a very good way to move us into this period of no tax deal.
Right, right. And then in terms of the supercharging $1,000, sorry, multi-$1,000 supercharging,
Yeah,
they're doing that in Canada.
yeah.
So Canada doesn't have the $700 tax
Right.
credit, and they've done this supercharging, bundle incentive thing. So I think that's the way they go as opposed to just straight up cutting prices.
Yeah, and I think everybody has to keep in mind too that the United States, while it's a very, very important market, the combination of Berlin and Shanghai are more than half of the total business. And none of them have this $7,500 tax credit, so all of them will continue as normal. And the fourth quarter is typically very good in Shanghai, and I think Europe actually the fourth quarter is pretty good too.
Yeah, yeah. And normally the US market is good for the fourth quarter as well.
Right.
There's fleet sales, there's other things that are happening that it's not like it's, falls off a complete cliff. It is it can be a problem, but they can, as I've described, there's different ways to manage it to keep the numbers up. And then
So,
also,
right.
we were just coming in, and there's a really good Model YL situation happening in China.
Right.
So I can do a quick share of that. So the 6-seat Model YL, we had about 1,000 per week for the first 3 weeks, and
Right.
now the fourth week there was 4,000 Model YLs delivered
All right.
that week. That's a huge number. If
That
you
is.
keep that 13 weeks of Q4, that's 52,000 vehicles. So that would be a massive thing. This is the 3-row Model Y that's larger and has a really separate second row you can see here.
And that is now in keeping with your prediction that you've been talking about for weeks now. You thought it would be around 4,000 to 5,000 a week.
Right.
And apparently it just took them a little longer than we thought to get up to that number.
Well, I was hoping that would happen by this week and into October to get to that 5,000 per week number. The fact that it did 3 weeks of 1,000, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
nicely increasing, would have been less concerning. They might not do it, but this is, I didn't see any reason they wouldn't be able to achieve this. So, supply chain, solve shifts, figured out manufacturing issues, it's all good. And it may not be the final shoe to drop. Like they could come out with 6,000, or 7,000, over the course of per week,
Right.
over the course of October.
Sure. And they also have not, as far as I can tell, they have not started offering it in any other markets yet. So they must have plenty of backlog in the Chinese market to take care of their production now. And I'm guessing that once they offer it in Australia and South Korea and Canada, they'll probably sell some numbers.
And also, this is a huge thing for Q4 globally, that if you have guaranteed strong numbers because of YL in China
Right.
for Q4, Q1, Q2, all next year,
Yeah.
then that means
Pulls everything.
it pulls everything up. Yeah, yeah. And then you have to just solve your US thing and get Europe back on track. So this is very positive.
Okay, and of course we everybody knows we still don't know about the Model Q or whatever it's going to be called, but whatever that's going to be and whenever it comes out, that's going to be a big impact. Well, on a completely different subject, earlier today, Elon confirmed that there will be a Grokkopedia. Now that would have been news enough. That would have been, I was so excited that there's going to be Grokkopedia. I mean, literally today, twice I've had to tell Grok, please give me an answer that's balanced politically, giving the left and the right view. And then Grok goes, oh yeah, I forgot. And then it gives me a completely different answer based on getting a view from balanced sources. So it is capable of doing it now. And I still don't understand why Elon can't do that from the top, why I need to do it at the level that I'm doing it at. Anyway, but I don't know if you saw what happened after that. Did you see what happened with Wikipedia?
No, I did not.
Wikipedia comes out and goes, we have just nailed the declaration to the door, the Protestant Reformation. We've just nailed our seventh thesis or eighth thesis instead of the whatever, I forget the number on the original thesis. Anyway, they had, I forget, a number, 7, 8, or 9 things that they're going to change on Wikipedia, including taking out the blacklists, which are the sources that you can't use on Wikipedia. They're going to take out, they're going to bring in way more competing views. So it's not going to be winner takes all anymore. Anyway, they had this list.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why they've decided to do this.
Yeah. Actual competition. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Elon tries to buy him out. He said, look, I'll buy you out. They're like, no, we don't want to. Yeah. And so they fought and fought and fought. But the same day,
Yeah.
Elon says, no, Grokpedia is coming, and showed a logo for Grokpedia. It's gonna change what Wikipedia is doing. So anyway, that's extremely exciting because Wikipedia is so biased.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just one more thing. We're just knocking off the different media bias one after another between Oracle, what's his name? Oracle,
Larry Ellison.
Larry Ellison, Thiel, Elon owning all the different networks now. It's and basically Facebook and YouTube saying we're gonna, and Google, paying. Did you see that? Google is putting 200.
Oh yeah, Google paid Trump because of bias in YouTube, right?
Because they kicked him off. Because they kicked him off of YouTube. Yeah, 250 million going toward the ballroom.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to be.
But the thing is, so having been, having a website for a long time, there were, sites like mine got banned, from, had traffic greatly reduced, 70, 80%, even though I was just covering, science and technology, they've suppressed many, many sites because they were the only, controller of what's happening. So then, they could make any area a cul-de-sac where it's like, okay, not many people go down that road. So yeah, it's
who knows how politics will look after 4 years of honesty in all these different media spots. Also, Trump is saying that there might be a $500 million settlement with Harvard. That would include, what was the other thing they have to do? $500 million. Oh, yes. And they're going to have to open a school for tech, or what do you call it?
Trades?
Trade jobs. Yeah, a trade school. They have to open a trade school and 500 million. So I don't know if that deal is, he said it's like very close to being done.
Okay.
So that's pretty exciting. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, SpaceX. You're going to tell me we've got a launch date.
Yes, October 13th will be Starship 11. So that's going to be the last of the Block 2, version 2 Starship and booster. Then they'll go to version 3. That's bigger and better and all that kind of stuff. So they'll push this one pretty hard. Not going to do a catch, I don't think. I think they're just going to be mainly working on the heat shield. They're going to go higher. So previously, I think they stopped out at like 160 kilometers. I think they're going to go higher, 220, 230. Still not to orbit per se, but they will go higher for that. So this is all exciting. And then they also published on September 18th on their site in the update section, talking about spaceports, that they're going to take, making their 𝐄𝐬𝐚𝐲 launch towers and catch towers and kind of thing, able to handle more volume, able to do, have this vision of doing more with it. Also to improve the launches so that there's smaller exclusion zones because currently the ones in Florida have very large exclusions, though smaller than they were a few years ago, and then also reduce the impact on planes and stuff. So they're going to make it more friendly because there've been some complaints in Florida
Sure.
about that. And then they also said that they would allow or bring in like Blue Origin, the other launchers, so that's not going to be those worried about monopoly.
Oh,
Will say, hey, we're creating this infrastructure and we're making it so that others can play as well. But
let's
the
see.
goal,
Yeah. Let me see. We're going to be really nice guys and let these guys come in and pay us to use our facility.
right. But it would be even more a problem for them if the other guys weren't able to use it
Right.
because they are so dominant.
Yeah.
And then they also indicate how they're going to go towards 400 or more launches per year of Starship. So I'm expecting 40 some launches next year, and then 100 the year after, and then to the 200, 400 level the year after that. So it would take a lot because there's getting the rate up from the 150 Falcon 9 launches to even more of the big rocket launches
Right.
is going to take a lot of stuff, and they'll probably have to make more launch towers because I have two in Florida, maybe the two in Texas, one in California, and they probably go other places. So it's
They also announced, I saw that they said they're still shooting for Mars in 2026.
yes.
But
One of their manufacturing um, manager, director, VPs, or whatever, Dima, starts with a Z, it said that they're still on track for that. So
but I think they've lowered their hope to just one rocket. Mostly, I
right, right.
mostly I think because of having the refilling stations, they need 4 or 5 of these refueling.
Actually, as many as like 10
Maybe
refueling
as many as 10 for just the one.
just the one. So you launch the one up into
Yeah.
orbit,
Yeah.
and then it's only got like 10% of 15% of its fuel left.
Okay.
And then you launch other missions in order to bring more fuel, and then you transfer it over, just like transferring fuel for fighter jets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like so they've been doing that for a long time. So you have to like dock with it. Elon said that the docking thing is easier than docking with space station
Space station.
because it's like
Yeah.
we're docking to ourselves
Right.
basically.
Right.
So he says that it's easier, but it still has to be done.
Right.
And to your point, if I do 40 launches of Starship next year and I want to do one to Mars, I got to do like 11 launches dedicated to that mission. So it's a substantial thing you have to do. Um, and then the question of would it have, I'm thinking it won't have landing gear
Oh,
because you want landing gear to land on Mars, but if you just do a soft landing
I see.
on
Yeah. Yeah.
on the thing with propulsion and that kind of stuff, then um, you just deal with the fact that it didn't land great. But obviously, if they can spend the time to do something around landing legs and have a shot to have a completely clean landing, because then you could bring useful material there. I could have,
Mhm.
water, I could have other things that would be useful to eventual manned missions that would
Right.
follow,
Right.
which would be good.
Couldn't you just have a big, balloon, pop out and it falls over? No, probably not.
There have been people looking at a landing on your side for the moon and for Mars, because basically it is a very, pointy kind of thing that you're
Yeah.
doing, right? So if you just say, I designed it to go over on its side, as opposed to only when it's an accident to go over its side, you'd have to increase the structural strength
I,
around it so that it could, sit like that, right?
I,
So as opposed to having the strength going this way, it has to be this way and this way,
so, so,
in order to
so
make it really.
not an airbag, not an airbag.
Um, Airbag would just be for when you tip over,
I
right?
see. You
So if
see.
you have giant airbags for when you tip over and it doesn't break, although you can think of it like this thing is like a 40-story building.
Right. Exactly.
So if you have 50, 40, 40-story building that tips over, airbags don't seem like it'll save it.
That's why I'm laughing about it. But you're
Yeah,
telling me, hey, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Big airbags, really good airbags.
yeah. Or you just have something where, certain things come out with airbags. So they have
Yeah.
used airbags before
Yeah.
for smaller things.
Yeah.
So if you had a bunch of stuff kind of come out and then kind of roll away, then it would survive, even though then the main thing kind of tips over and blows up, right? So
That's pretty wild.
yeah.
All right, let's see. Have we covered everything that you and I planned to cover today? I can't remember. Is there anything else that we left out of the story?
I think those are the main things.
All
Yeah.
right, well, let's see what's happening with the stock. We did, of course, hit 444.72 at the close today. And that would be after hours. We're only back down to 443.58. So that's good. That we're doing good. All well. The markets were generally up today. The Dow Jones Industrial had hit another all-time high. So that was good. And the shutdown is still on as of now. We're not hearing anything. Still, the headline I just saw on CNBC was that nothing new on the shutdown.
I'm pretty sure I, I'm betting, shutdown happens.
Yeah,
And I think it's gonna be a few weeks because it's just um, the incentives are all for them not to solve the problem, right? So it's gonna take some time for them to get to anything because there's like no reason. Like, what is the reason for them to like let's be heroes and solve this thing by talking it out?
well, the
Um,
only thing I can think of that's really might end up with an 11th hour or even uh, a 24th, no, the next day, in other words, like a really, really short shutdown,
yeah,
is Trump's promise to start firing people.
right.
And it would seem to me that they will believe that.
Right. But then I think the interview with Schumer was he said that he'll fire them anyway. So thus he's saying I don't think that this makes me change my calculus because
I see.
you're already going to do that according to the budget proposal to remove 300,000 and all those other things. So yeah. So it all goes to neither side really wants to
Got
help.
it. Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. Well, the bonds, the 10-year is sitting at the. I shouldn't have looked at the after hours because I would have been so much righter if I was only looking at what happened at the close today. So we closed at 4.15 on the nose, but in the after hours or pre-market, whatever, we are up 0.4%. So I don't know. My 415's got a hold here. That's the number I'm counting on so that we can go down from there. Um, Oil came down strongly. It's up a little bit in the pre-market.
Mhm.
Yep. Hearing anything that I haven't been reporting on, OPEC is adding more production. That's the only thing I've heard.
Yep, haven't heard anything.
All right. Natural gas continues up another 9.91%, 333. This is the highest I've seen it in a while. Once again, I have no special information on natural gas one way or the other, except we're going into the winter.
Mhm.
It's actually fall.
Mhm.
It's 80 degrees outside where I am. So fall? What fall?
Mhm.
Gold. Are you ready?
Yep.
38.88, up another 15 in the pre-market.
Okay.
Where do you think was it? You have any clues? Come on, Mr. Futurist. I know you don't follow it.
Round numbers seem to be incoming. Sound like $4,000.
4,000, right?
Right.
And
Seems like
then
4,000
that's
away.
it. 4,000 and then collapse.
It seems like if you're spending, and causing inflation and all that kind of stuff is happening, which is the usual government operation, then you would keep going up. So the general trend is up, whether it's like up and down going that way. It's because of the 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 currency that is not the US dollar. So US dollar is the tallest midget among all the other currencies, but gold or Bitcoin or other things are the more firm currency. So it's like does the Venezuelan whatever peso currency continue to drop against the US dollar? Yes. So does the US dollar continue to drop against gold? Yes, over time. So
Okay, so we actually have two questions there then. Is the dollar going to finally hit a bottom and start back up, which would be obviously gold goes down in relation to the dollar, and or do we get to my rule? It's not my rule. It's one of the rules I follow, which is at a certain point, something is too far out there. And and it doesn't even matter if I understand that market at all. I don't have to ever look at that market before and I go, wait a minute. No, 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 no. 4,000 is just too high.
Yeah.
Is that enter into your calc?
It can be too high right now. I think it's just like, NASDAQ or something going to 22,000 and then, it hits 25,000 and then it drops to, 21,000.
Too
It
high.
was too high right now. But then in a year or 2 years, it's kind of like it keeps going.
Speaking of Bitcoin, flat, 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 only down 190 today, 114,000 on the nose as I'm looking at it right now. That's really weird. 114,000, no sense. I mean,
Mhm.
it's zero, zero. Everybody look at that real quick.
Yeah.
I guess I could take a screenshot. Ah, I missed it. Ah, darn.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mhm.
and Ethereum up 0.65% at 4,155. I think from my perspective as a headline reader, both of these are kind of off the headlines right now.
Mhm. Right.
Everybody's so interested in what's happening with the government, what's
Yeah.
happening with Gaza, what's happening with Russia, what's happening with everything in the stock market being so high and gold being so high. It's kind of just it's lost. It's not the flavor of the week.
Right. Because it didn't make an all-time high. It's been a few months or two since they've had all-time highs. Although Tom Lee seems to be saying that
Yeah,
the
yeah,
interest rate cuts incoming will uh he's calling for 200,000 on Bitcoin by the end of the year.
yeah,
So that's only 3 months away.
yeah,
So
right. That would be a ride.
yeah, if that happens, we'll be talking about it a lot.
Yeah, we will. Pre-market right now on the equities, very slightly down. Dow down 0.11, S&P down 0.14, and NASDAQ down 0.15. I would say all of that is probably a little bit of nervousness about the shutdown. I think the only reason the market cares at all is they won't get those fabulous job numbers that are coming Friday that are so accurate and so useful.
Yep.
I think they'll be better off without them, quite frankly. But
Mhm.
yeah, apparently no job numbers. If we shut down, we don't get the job numbers. Now we'll still get ADP. I don't know if we'll get the initial jobless claims on Thursday. Probably not. I don't think those will come in either. So
Yep. Some of our numbers may be missing. That generally what happens in past
yes,
shutdown.
generally, not 100% of the time. Sometimes some of the numbers have come in,
Mm.
but right now the BLM has said no at BLS Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? Anyway, I forget all these doggone acronyms. They've said no, they will not be reporting if the government shuts down.
Okay. Well, I guess that's the reason we need to have them back, otherwise we wouldn't have those numbers. So,
Now, if you like this Brian, then there's a lot of the other Brian today because I did one earlier, which none of you watched. I mean, zero. I mean, it was the worst, probably the worst video I've put up in months. It was a fun video. Don't you ever want to just have fun? So if you want 15 minutes of fun, because it was really hilarious, go back and watch that video. I'll put that card up. And then later tonight, you'll have a more serious and very outstanding video from Brian White as well in just about probably about 7 o'clock California time. Brian
okay.
Wang, always a delight to have you
Yep.
on board. Thank you for your. I mean, the CMB should be calling us. They really
Yeah.
should be. We've been so accurate.
Right.
To
Okay.
all of you out there, it's been great talking to you. Can't find my exit.